Hello and welcome back to the Spring to Life podcast. I'm Caitlin, your host / hormone health coach, femme educator, Pilates instructor, and creator of the Spring to Life method. My goal is to promote feminine body independence and share stories of female resiliency to help you love your body more and unleash your inner superpower, your period. Now, I know that last week at the end of the episode, I said we would be talking about why you should be excited and looking forward to your period each month. And we're definitely going to talk about that topic, but probably not until next week, because this week's episode is entirely dedicated to the mineral magnesium, why we need it, why it's important for our hormonal health. You probably have heard people talking about magnesium on the internet, on social media. And it is very popular right now, but for good reason. I got the opportunity to do a deep dive with the team at NED, which is a very reputable and quality company that produces CBD and magnesium products in Colorado. And it just made me super excited about magnesium. So I wanted to share some of the science with you, some of the things that you should be looking for. And I think that this is going to be a very educational episode, and I hope that you learn something from it. So let's jump in to this content. So first, let's address what magnesium is. I mentioned that it's a mineral, which is true. It is an intracellular mineral, which means that 99% is found inside of our cells. And I know there's lots of things out there where they'll say 75% of the population is deficient, which is mostly true. And there's over 300 processes in the body that require magnesium. There's actually over 3,000 enzymatic processes that require magnesium. So this is an in-demand mineral in your body. It's key for cellular metabolism and energy production. And the reason that so many of us are deficient in magnesium is because our soil is so depleted. So we're not getting the same mineral content from our food sources that we were, say, 100 years ago. And that's thanks to factory farming and all sorts of issues that we have in our food chain in this country. So we're going to talk about first signs that you're deficient in magnesium. And like I said, lots of us are deficient in magnesium. So first sign would be you are experiencing depression, anxiety, any type of mood disorder. So if you're feeling down, if you're feeling blue, if you're not feeling like yourself, if those kinds of feelings are really overwhelming you and taking over, could be a sign you're deficient in magnesium. We've also got stress. We are all familiar with stress, I'm sure. There are different types of stress. It could be physical stress, it could be emotional stress, it could be environmental, it could be metabolic. And the problem with stress is that chronic stress leads to further mineral deficiencies and dysregulation in the body, which then also increases your magnesium burn rate. So then you're using up even more magnesium. And magnesium is actually the first mineral that gets used up when the body responds to stress. So if you are under acute or chronic stress. So acute could be something that's happening, you're studying for your big exam or you're traveling, or if you're under chronic stress, whether it's from work or something you have going on in your life, then magnesium could be part of the problem. Obviously, you always want to get to the root when you're talking about stress or really anything. Next, we have sleep problems. So if you have trouble falling asleep, if you have trouble staying asleep, if you suffer from insomnia, I think a lot of times melatonin is the go-to, but you can actually kind of overdo it on melatonin and then it's not working for you, and some people don't agree with it. Magnesium is a great way to supplement and really start to work on your sleep hygiene. And then finally, signs that you're deficient in magnesium is if you're pregnant. Pregnancy, this time in a woman's life, is the highest burn rate of magnesium. It takes a lot of magnesium to grow those beautiful babies. So that might also be a time in your life when you consider supplementing magnesium. So now let's talk about how magnesium supports hormone health. First of all, it aids cellular energy, which helps your body to respond to stress. We were just talking about how much stress increases how much magnesium we need. So it helps to aid cellular energy, and it's going to help your body respond to stress and handle stress in a better way. It also supports our adrenals and our thyroid function. Especially if you're under stress, your adrenals could be even more stressed. I know you've probably heard the term adrenal fatigue. Your thyroid relates to your metabolism. It relates to like how your body regulates temperature, things like that. And it's also intertwined with the rest of your hormones. Magnesium also helps to increase cells' insulin sensitivity, so it's going to help support blood sugar management. Very important when we're talking about hormone health. And then directly related to hormones, it aids in the production and regulation of sex hormones. We're talking progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone. So you can see this mineral is really intertwined with how all of the hormones operate in our body. Now, specifically when we're talking about menstrual health, magnesium is also incredibly important here. So magnesium reduces cortisol during your luteal phase specifically, which helps support the balance of estrogen to progesterone. So if you have too much cortisol in your body, which is our stress hormone, and then you enter your luteal phase. So say you have ovulated, you're in your luteal phase. If you have too much cortisol, there is this process that could be happening in your body called the pregnenolone steal. And this is what happens when your body favors cortisol production over progesterone. And this can be tied back to like fight or flight. Maybe you've heard about that in terms of your nervous system. So if your body feels like it's not in a safe place to be fertile, to have a baby, even if you're not trying to have a baby, it's going to prevent your body from conceiving at all. So that's why it keeps cortisol, because that's what's going to, in theory, you know, our lives are so much different now than they were 50 years ago, than they were 100 years ago, than they were 200 years ago. The things that are stressors in our life now, if you think about it, are so much different. Now we've got phones beeping at us constantly. We've got emails. We've got, you know, just all of the demands of modern life are so different than the stressors that we were dealing with ancestrally. We're not running for our life. We're not necessarily worried about collecting food or a harvest or things like that. Like, stress is so much different now. And I think that chronic stress is so much more common. And so cortisol is not necessarily a bad hormone. Like I said, it's a stress hormone. It spikes to help you deal with stress. But when you're under chronic stress and you have too much cortisol, when you're in your luteal phase, it's going to steal that progesterone and produce cortisol instead. And the problem with this is that progesterone is really, really vital for your hormone health. And the only time it's produced is during your luteal phase from that corpus luteum, which is the follicle that the egg was released from in your ovary. So if you're not getting progesterone, it's affecting your brain health, it's affecting your bone health, it's affecting everything. It's also going to worsen PMS, because progesterone is the hormone that keeps you feeling good throughout the second half of your cycle. So it's pretty important. Magnesium also reduces inflammation in the body, which in turn is going to help reduce PMS, cramps, mood swings, all of those nasty symptoms that tend to crop up in that second half of your cycle. So you can see how this is all really intertwined. Magnesium also supports the liver, which is where we naturally detox excess hormones, specifically estrogen. So We want to be getting rid of excess estrogen because we don't want to be too estrogen dominant in relation to progesterone. So you can see where this could become this kind of snowballing issue if we're not getting progesterone because the cortisol is stealing it, and then we're also having excess estrogen in our body. That's where these PMS symptoms, the cramps, the mood swings, the bloating, the fatigue, whatever it is that you deal with, when that's really bad, it's because our hormones are not properly balanced. And magnesium is going to help to alleviate and bring balance back into your body, into your hormone levels. I mentioned before that pregnancy is when we have the highest burn rate of magnesium, and I'm going to qualify that and say it's the time when we naturally have the highest burn rate. As we were just discussing, when you're really stressed, when you're under chronic stress, you're obviously burning through a lot of magnesium. But during pregnancy, magnesium is going to be very supportive because your necessity is increasing. You're growing another life. It supports proper fetal development, and it's going to be really replenishing for mama postpartum, because think of all of the stress that you have gone through. Pregnancy, birth, all of this is incredibly stressful on your body. You are a warrior going through it, and you need to replenish those magnesium stores. Like I mentioned, it's also really great for nervous system regulation, cognitive function, mood balancing, and energy production, which as a new mom, those are all really important things that you want to feel on top of. If you are dysregulated in your nervous system, if you're feeling brain foggy, if your mood is off, if you don't have energy, it's going to be really hard to mom the way you want to mom, right? Feminine body independence. If you are listening to this podcast, then this program is right up your alley. This is my signature 4-month one-on-one coaching container designed to reconnect you with your superpower, your period, through the FEM method of cycle charting, cycle syncing, and hormone balancing foods, lifestyle habits, and supplements tailored specifically to you. In this 4-month container, I will personally help you go from novice to expert in the FEM method of cycle charting, sync your cycle to your exercise, work, and social life, eliminate PMS symptoms, regulate your cycle to a 24 to 36 day window, and regulate your period to 3 to 5 days. Sounds amazing, right? This could be your reality. And up until March 20th, I am offering an amazing deal. This program is normally $700, and I am offering 50% off. That's right, $350 is your investment to achieve feminine body independence. Now, if you are listening to this episode after March 20th, I want to make this deal available to you. So all you have to do is DM me the word magnesium on Instagram. I'm at Spring to Life Method, and I'll also link my account in the show notes. DM me the word magnesium to achieve feminine body independence. Now that we have gotten through all of the sciencey things behind why magnesium is so important to our bodily functions, I want to tell you about my experience supplementing with magnesium, because this is one that I kind of slept on. I was a little late to the magnesium party, and I know that it's pretty easy to be skeptical. Lots of people are talking about supplements and things that you should be doing to be healthier, and there's just a lot to wade through out there in terms of what you should be doing and who you should be listening to. So I want to talk about my experience. I have gone through periods of time when I've been taking tons of supplements, and I've gotten to a place now where I want to be as minimal as possible, but I want to also make sure that I'm taking high quality supplements of the things that are actually making a difference in my health. So using Mellow Magnesium specifically from Ned has been a pretty big game changer for me. I started taking it about 5 months ago, I would say. And it's made big changes in a couple areas of my life. Number one is deeper sleep. I have never had too much trouble with sleep, but I noticed as soon as I started taking Mellow that I was able to fall asleep really quickly and stay asleep and just be in a very deep sleep and wake up feeling really, really refreshed. Number 2, regular bowel movements. I have always been very regular. This might be a little bit TMI, but within the last 6 months, I'll say since the end of last summer, I've been doing a lot of traveling. I've been doing a lot of moving around, and that's stress, whether I want it to be or not. That's stress on my body. And I did find that I was becoming a little irregular. So as soon as I started implementing Mellow back in with my supplement routine, I noticed that regularity coming back, and that relates to our hormone health as well, because bowel movements is another way that our body excretes excess hormones. So you want to make sure that you are having regular bowel movements. Third way that I've noticed a difference with magnesium is that my body responds to stress and recovers quicker. And another thing that helps with specifically muscle recovery is electrolytes, and that's something we can talk about another time. But I always kind of thought I don't need that. But as soon as I added electrolytes and magnesium, my muscle recovery time really went down. And that also plays into making sure that you're aligning your workout intensity with your cycle so that you can have the quickest recovery time possible. But magnesium is so helpful. Like I said, it helps to reduce inflammation and it helps with cellular energy. So overall, really helpful with that response to stress. And like I said, I've been under a lot of stress the last 6 months or so, but I haven't necessarily been zeroed in on it because of how well my body's been responding to it. I know in years past, like the old me used to just be overcome with stress. Like even if I didn't want to be, like I could not deny the effects on my body. I would lose my appetite. I would be so anxious to the point of like shaking, and no more. Magnesium is very helpful. I also feel like I have better energy throughout the day. I think a lot of times magnesium is thought of as a supplement that you should be taking before bed. And there are magnesium supplements out there that are specifically formulated for bedtime. Ned also has shut-eye chai, which like if you really have trouble sleeping, that's the way to go because that will knock you out and you will sleep so hard. But I love Mellow because I can drink it in the morning. I can take it with my other vitamins that I take, my probiotic and my omega-3, and your body absorbs it throughout the day so that by the time you're ready to wind down and go to bed, then you are kind of in this relaxed state. But because magnesium is so important for cellular energy, it's also helping you throughout the day. And then the final way that I've noticed a difference with magnesium is that my cycle is more regular. And this is something that I'm always working on, hormonal birth control and just the stressors that I had before I really got into this space of being a dancer and just not understanding how important menstrual health is. I've always had a very irregular cycle. And so that's something I've been focused on, especially in the last couple of years, is regulating my cycle. Magnesium is a very helpful mineral, like I said. It helps with progesterone, which a lot of times if somebody's having an irregular cycle, we're lacking progesterone, and that can be a major issue. And like I said, it's also related to other processes and organs, and we want to make sure that we have adequate amounts of progesterone, that we have an adequate length in our luteal phase, and magnesium has been super helpful. So I've been mentioning Ned Mellow Magnesium specifically because I just find that it is the best quality possible and the best bang for your buck. Not only does Mellow contain magnesium, it also contains L-theanine, and this is something that's usually found in green tea. It's a non-protein amino acid that promotes relaxation by reducing stress and anxiety. So that ties back into kind of like feeling those mood disorders. L-theanine is going to be just like the cherry on top. And then maybe the whipped cream on top is that Mellow also contains GABA. This is a neurotransmitter that calms the brain and downshifts the nervous system for relaxation. So magnesium also enhances GABA activity. So this is like a win-win. You're getting the GABA in Mellow, and you're getting magnesium in Mellow, which is also enhancing GABA activity. So you're getting more and more GABA activity in your brain, which is going to help to calm you down and downshift your nervous system. So we're winning here. Now, when it comes to magnesium, not all magnesium is created equally. There's lots of different types of magnesium, and a lot of the magnesium supplements out there only contain magnesium citrate, which is not necessarily bad, but this is a type of magnesium that keeps you regular. So it's working on keeping your bowels regular. If you're sensitive to magnesium, too much magnesium citrate can really loosen things up too much, and that's not necessarily what we're looking for, especially when we're looking for these other benefits of hormonal balance and nervous system regulation and mood regulation. So Mellow magnesium also contains magnesium gluconate, which is the best absorbed type of magnesium, and it helps to improve our blood levels. And magnesium glycinate, which promotes bone health and manages blood sugar. So it's not just magnesium citrate, it's also gluconate and glycinate. So I am just really fond of this magnesium product. I think that it works really well, and especially for menstruating women, there are so many benefits of having the L-theanine and the GABA as well. And as I mentioned, shut-eye chai is also great, especially if you deal with sleep issues. And the reason that I wanted to school you on magnesium this week is because Ned is having a birthday sale, and my code, which normally gets you 15% off, will get you 21% off site-wide. So you can look into their CBD products as well. But the magnesium, I just love it. So my code, Spring to Life, one word, gets you 21% off through today, March 20th. If you're listening to this episode after March 20th, don't worry, you still get a discount. My code Spring to Life gets you 15% off site-wide, and you can use this code over and over again. So I just really love this company. Like I said, they really like to educate their community, and they're really responsible about how they source their products and how they test them. So if you have been getting the nudge to try magnesium or to add it into your routine, this is your invitation. This is your chance to get a deal, and let me know how it sits with you. Let me know if you notice any of the same benefits that I do. All right, that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Spring to Life podcast. Check out the show notes for the resources mentioned. I will link my Instagram account, and I will link you directly to Ned with that code if you want to stock up on your magnesium. And if you learned something new or resonated with this conversation, please share. Tag me in your Instagram stories at Spring to Life Method, leave a 5-star review, or simply share this with a girlfriend, because all women deserve to know their superpower.